We can start off with some of the questions from chat, I suppose, and then if we have people that want to ask questions in voice, just raise your hand and we can bring you up to chat. Sharp asks, Fleet Commander, what makes you a worthy commander?
I've round tripped making lots of money to losing lots of money multiple times. I now don't care about money. I just like building cool stuff with cool people. And I like pixel spaceships.
He likes pixel spaceships. Say no more.
I am wearing matching socks. They have even basketball hoops on the back. Like they're kind of like puffy backboards, and then there's like a tag that makes like the rim, which is pretty cool and stuff. They're pretty rad socks, not gonna lie.
When spaceship socks for the Dao.
Mm, merch is definitely like the highest priority for the project, I'd say. I don't know if there's anything else that really needs like to come first or matters more than getting like merch out the door as soon as possible to holders. I mean, I'm just obsessed with delivering real value to the community.
Yeah, so and then we're gonna charge for the merch, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the merch is gonna be like $50 per sock.
Scruffy asks, at this point in time, can you produce any estimation of a timeline for beta testing and actual game release?
I can try, you know. I don't know if my track record would prove to be making how I know whatever my answer is accurate. I mean, like I said in Station Shadow a few minutes ago, like the goal is a reasonable and realistic timeline as soon as possible, and obviously we're getting like closer and closer to that coming to fruition. But at the moment, I mean, estimation of some sort of timeline for beta testing, uh, a better answer than soon would just be like, I don't know, in the past like month or two, we've completed a lot of the major, not necessarily like roadblocks, but things that were very important to get done that will streamline the remaining process of building the project and getting to that beta state. I mean, it's kind of ramping up to be one of the only remaining areas of focus for the project. Obviously, there's a ton of stuff that goes into building a fully decentralized, top-down, on-chain game more than just the game itself. But I'd say beta within the next like redacted amount of days or months.
Thank goodness. uh, Fake Fleet Commander asks, will Kai's let me say GM now?
In Q&A questions, you guys have like free reign to say buddy and GM and fam, it looks like, because we didn't enable it to delete in there, which is probably fine for questions. But yeah, if you want to experience true freedom, now's your chance. You can type whatever you want in here, relatively.
Hammer Toes with the quality question. Can I say fam again? Same answer, I guess.
Yeah.
Now you did it. Now the GM's rolling in. Do you genuinely believe that the Citadel will have a significant and long-term impact? GM, buddy.
I feel like another team member should answer. Be curious. Maybe like Flam would be cool to answer this one. I can give my thoughts after.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think so. If not, I probably wouldn't be here. Um, I think it's really probably what I said about this project when I first learned about it and started thinking about it and joined was that it a year ago seemed like what they were trying to do was probably one of the most radical experiments in decentralization, certainly in the gaming world, maybe even in a broader sense. But I still think that to this day is mostly probably going to be true. I think we're going to probably be launching aside or near or in proximity to some other on-chain games that are also doing some uh, similar ideas. But launching with an on-chain DAO on day one, giving all community or the majority of community funds to the community on day one, I still don't think that's really on the docket for other projects yet that I've seen. So that alone, if that can be done and that is successful, I think that's going to be a huge contribution. And it is experimental. I mean, we get some criticism or pushback in terms of, isn't that going too far? Shouldn't you like progressively decentralize over time and try to just not rush going all the way to full on-chain control on day one? But I think starting conditions matter. How you set up that dynamic between the core team and the community on day one, it has a lasting impact. It's very sensitive to starting conditions, so I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that goes, and I'm obviously very hopeful that it's going to be successful and it will have an impact in terms of showing that it can be done and other people will want to follow suit.
That's a pretty solid answer. I liked it. Made me bullish.
Yeah, I mean, I won't speak for everybody on the team, but I probably could in saying that I think each and every single one of us on the team genuinely believe on the impact and the potential for the Citadel long term. I think that's why we're all here personally, but that's my take.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, it has an impact on just how projects are ran and managed, at the very least, in the sense of like public building. There's so many projects in the NFT space that are like community-based projects. The utility is community, but the community doesn't own any of the funds, the smart contracts, or the royalties, or really anything else. So it'd be great if, maybe say on-chain gaming is for some reason a facade and not, I don't know, for some reason doesn't ever take off. Like at least it'll be popular maybe for a little bit, where some of the traits of how we built Citadel, spread elsewhere in the market, and that would be great. Just, more transparency, more accountability, and communities actually owning their projects rather than just, buying a JPEG and getting dumped on. But yeah, I mean, I won't go super long into the on-chain aspect and other things like that's just Flam covered it, but that's I'd be happy with an impact like that as well.
Flobnox would like to know when FTL combat. FTL faster than light for those that are curious.
1 unit of time. That could be like a year. I don't know. I mean, feel free to beat us to it. That's the whole point, right?
Kaladin asks, will we be able to input our own custom pilot bio into the game, ? For the hardcore RPers, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a feature on day one. As you can see, like if you look in some of the GUI progress pictures and whatnot, you can look at the player profiles, and there's a bio section. I think recently also, because we had some extra time and resources on the team, put bios and all that kind of other profile information on chain as well, which is cool. Before they were just like, obviously like front end and, just connected to the GUI, but eventually we were like, oh yeah, we'll put it on chain. But now we just did it anyways because we had like an extra time to do so now. So on chain bios. Ooh, bullish.
Magic D asks, will non-whitelist people or people that have no ships, etc., be able to play the game normally, ? Or will holders have like an insane advantage or anything?
Holders will have an insane advantage in the terms of like being able to play and access the game. If you don't have ships, you can't play the game. So in that sense, there's still going to be like a public sale and stuff like that as well. So I wouldn't really be too concerned about not having a whitelist. Like, not to mention, like, we're super active in chat as the team. If you read part of the update, we built like an entire ML model to like detect quality people that's not based on like amount of messages or how much you want to like praise the team, like a lot of projects seem to target, or like Twitter Spaces, and help people go up there and talk. They love to suck off the host for like a minute or two before they say their piece. But yeah, I mean, if you're interested in the project, just hang out, be yourself, and you'll probably have a pretty good time. But yeah, it's not going to be like anyone can play. It's an on-chain game, and to play an on-chain game at the moment, well, this isn't true, but to play Citadel, you need the ships themselves or the game pieces to play.
Artsy asks, will we get to beta test before alpha release, and when?
Yeah, we're gonna do like a 1 week playtest when playtest comes around, and that'll be before launch, so everyone will be able to get to see the game in some sort of action. And those who are able to play it, which would be like architects, like all the orange people, double mint people, trial patrollers, the team, and then we'll pick a good handful of whitelist and non-whitelist people to beta test.
We do have a hand up. I'm going to take one from the audience real quick. Guy26.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you for giving me a chance. I was wondering, are you guys' main focus is just the game, or are you guys maybe thinking about later on branching out to building other cool things?
I mean, I would say Citadel covers like, in the sense like our focus is just the game. Like, since it's a fully on-chain, decentralized, governance is a big focus. Like, you kind of touch a lot of areas of what you can be building. I mean, even in the update, like were like showcasing some of the new like proposal builder tools for like governance, and like that's DAO tooling. So in my opinion, there's like a lot of cool stuff that Citadel provides us the ample opportunity to work on. But I'm mostly interested, and I think anyone else on the team is, just on the game side of all of it, and like that attribute, just because it makes it a lot more fun and interesting. And I think on-chain gaming is like a really interesting experiment and idea, and so that makes it like, I don't know, just passionate about building this area. So that's my take, at least.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for your question. Dominic is asking, why does the team spend so much time innovating and developing true decentralized game if they could get away with much, much less work while having similar gameplay experience? Loving everything about decentralization you're doing, just curious.
I feel like the architect should answer this one.
I mean, I would say that the decentralization is a lot of the point of this project. Like that's kind of the foundation of the experiment, and we want to go as far with it as we can while still making a good game. Yeah, I mean, I guess we're focusing on it because that's what we're most interested in about the game.
Yeah, I mean, could get away with much less work, but having similar gameplay experience. But that's like the point is, you want that same gameplay experience, but also have it be, it's like, oh, this is a fully like decentralized game. Like it's trustless, it's on chain, like it's community owned. Like that's novel. Like that's an interesting game. I would want to play that. I don't really have much interest personally in like blockchain gaming. As much as I did when I first started in the space, like a few years ago. It's still really interesting, but it's like, as we've seen, every blockchain game has been like a disaster and basically equivalent to like the Hindenburg, where the economy just implodes. Thankfully, those poor VCs usually get their big money out, or the founding team, or they're just like, it's just a mess. I mean, I think it's just going to take like a lot more time for some solid teams to make some solid experiences in the blockchain space. But on-chain gaming kind of provides us the tools necessary and the thesis to build a trustless and a gaming experience that can matter now for the people who are here now. So, and like that's the most fun to innovate on.
Yeah, and I'll just add, from like an economic perspective, having it be decentralized and having the player base have agency and all that stuff makes the economy much more trustworthy. Whereas if you're trying to trust like a centralized Web2 type gaming company to make a currency and all these different things, it's, they can manipulate it, they can create new assets, they can dilute the supply as much as they want. So it's not very trustworthy, and it doesn't make the economy as prosperous as it could be, with a fully decentralized, like trustless economy where all the players have ultimate agency in that economy. So it's going to be much better overall. The other thing is, I think is really cool, is that we use a lot of upgradable contracts in our ecosystem, and having that be controlled by a centralized party is pretty sketchy. And so the DAO enables us to use that, so we can constantly upgrade the game over time through DAO proposals and votes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think also like I don't know, a good analogy or piece that I really like when I think of like why bother with like the decentralized game experience. Like if you imagine Ethereum and Bitcoin as private software companies, you know, they would be entirely worthless. Like they wouldn't matter. You know, the fact that they are decentralized and that they are this open network and that others can build on top of them and that they have is like the entire value to them. You know, Ethereum could exist as private software, but it wouldn't really matter. The whole point is that it's decentralized. That's the value. That's where you get all the traits and exciting attributes that blockchain gaming could introduce to gaming. But if you're just doing a game with blockchain assets, you know, but the game is still the same as any other game that's existed before, you're not really getting any value out of that. You're just actually kind of making it worse, in my opinion, at the moment at least. Next question. That was a good one.
Siggy says, GM Fleet Commander Famser friend. Have you hydrated well today? This line in the announcements, content development for pre-launch awareness campaign. Can you elaborate on this one for everyone? Thanks, GN.
Yeah, Flam, do you want to elaborate just a little bit on that? Because that's your area.
Yeah, we have a number of content pieces planned that we're going to roll out leading up to launch. Probably a lot of written content that I'm working on that's going to try to give our perspective on elaborating on, you know, what this is all about, why it matters, things like that. We'd also like to see if we could supplement that with some more media content, maybe some interviews with the team, some podcast ideas we have, maybe some art pieces as well. Just to sort of help create awareness going into launch, going into the playtest.
Sharp. To add context, I find it interesting you're the only project in my mind that has genuinely been building since the last bull, and I think you have so much merit. But how do you guys feel this longer term building process has affected the project, negative and or positive?
I mean, I think personally, like the longer term building process has been like spectacular for the project. I mean, we've always been, you know, building the way we wanted and doing things the way we think they should be done. And, you know, regardless of the time that it takes to do that. So, I mean, we were always comfortable from the very beginning that this was going to take the time that it takes. And I think that's also like obviously presented the community with an ample look into the building process itself, you know, established a good level of trust that like for the team and the community, which I think is important to have. I mean, obviously the goal is still at the project, you know, is trustless, which it is. I mean, that's what we're doing, but I still think like there's value and that, you know, there's some sort of trust here in what we're doing and that's exciting. I don't think there's really been any negatives considering the project is like fully decentralized and like Flam was talking about earlier, majority of all the mint funds go to the DAO anyways. It's like to us, the price of ETH, you know, doesn't really impact us too much personally because we were never going to be receiving most of it anyways. It goes to the DAO, kind of like noun style, right? I don't think there's really been any negatives. I mean, if anything, I think the slower market has allowed time for people to care about the project, join in, stick around, you know, be excited, learn more, and dive deeper into what we're doing, and allowed us to build a lot more like unique relationships with the community and just still be here. I don't know. I think it's pretty good though. I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm glad that we didn't rush, and I'm glad we didn't launch in like a frothy bull market where things are, you know, not read at all, or, you know, I don't know, just don't have the time to naturally develop. And I think the way things have gone, I'm very happy with it personally.
Puroof asks, any thoughts about possibly partnering with the team at Treasure?
At this time, we don't have any thoughts on that. Treasure is like really cool. We're friends with some of them over there. We've talked to them in the past, and kind of, you know, what they're doing is definitely super exciting. But I don't think Citadel exactly fit in just because of the nature of the project and what we want to accomplish with it. I think Citadel stands better as its own, you know, standalone ecosystem, just directly with Ethereum itself. But that doesn't mean like there's an opportunity for some sort of collaboration or, you know, commingled work effort down the line together on something cool. But Citadel, like under Treasure, isn't something that's happening. Still love treasure though.
Quality question from Alex Core. Can dev do something?
Let's see. Can dev do something?
No, we can't do anything.
There you have it.
Unfortunate. The other fleet commander, when test is announced, will we be looking at a full up testing module, or will it be pieced out like ship bidding, proposals, mining, etc.?
The plan at the moment is that the playtest is basically the end product. I mean, it's the full suite of everything. It's not really like a beta or an alpha. It's like, it's all here, it's all ready. We want to iron out any kinks, bugs that people encounter, and just make some, user experience improvements. That's the goal of playtest. So it'll be everything. And it's like near final state, if not basically final state. The only goal we have with playtest is just iron anything that we missed from people, trying to break it or play with it.
Beautiful. From Scruffy, in the upcoming weeks or month, what will be the core focus of the team for update number 18?
Update number 18 will probably be, a little bit continued areas on the proposal builder, as that's like, still a bit of an early system. Obviously, the thing that's nice about that is it's not very complicated to build, but we want to like iron it out, and continue to get that ready. If things go great, proposal builder and that whole system and a little bit more is done by next update, which would be really cool. Definitely more GUI progress. Ideally, would like to have that wrapped up around that time. Getting really close. I mean, the master list for the GUI and what's remaining is getting pretty short in that sense, which is great. Any core focuses on your end, architect?
I would say getting the proposal builder out, getting the player profiles on chain, and we have a whole batch of contracts that we're planning on using post launch that we want to send through audit. So probably kicking that off too.
Yeah, and other stuff that I just probably can't think of at the moment. That's everything off the top of my head. I mean, I know there's more, but that's the gist.
All right. From Sharp, wow, Citadel does not have a praise kink. Confirmed? ?
I would say confirmed. We do not care about that sort of thing, nor expect it, nor want it. Please just be normal human beings. We're all just trying to hang out and have a good time, building something fun, and with the rest of everyone else here.
From the other fleet commander, fleet could use a hydration check. Friendly reminder.
I honestly could. Architect, pass me the hydro flask.
Thank you very much, other fleet commander. From Clairvoyance, exclusive beta test or free for all?
Exclusive, because we want like curated and good feedback rather than like a swath and an overwhelming amount of it. So that's why it'll be architects. It'll probably be close to like 100 or 200 people ish, which that seems like a good amount to us.
From Monarty, hopefully pronounced that accurately. I apologize if not. Pineapple pizza or no? Don't dodge. I guess everybody can chime in there. It's an important one.
Yeah, everyone just give your answer.
For me, pineapple pizza is a yes, absolutely.
I think
Yes, for me. I mean,
it's a sin. It's a sin. Only pepperoni on pizza. That's it.
really?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
No.
Yep, only pepperoni. Triple pepperoni.
I mean, it's like a slice of pizza. It's like a pineapple, and it's not going to kill you. It's kind of good.
That's disgusting.
Oh my goodness, the team's about to fall apart on this one.
Yeah, no, it's a no-go. I mean, I grew up in Hawaii, and it's
What?
a no-go.
The guy who grew up in Hawaii says it's a no-go. That's crazy.
No Hawaiian for the Hawaiian?
That's right. We all agreed over there. It's not religious.
Wow. That's crazy. All right. That was a good question. I like it.
That was an important one. I'm glad we cleared the air on that. We're gonna have to fight about it later. Magic G. Okay, cool. So I can buy a ship on the MP and that's it? ?
Correct.
There's also public. So like, what is it? 60% will be for public. So you don't have to be on the whitelist to get a ship. But yeah, secondary, there'll be obviously a secondary and also future auctions.
That as well.
From Fingers, how much time would you estimate it will be from announcement of mint price to mint date?
Same month, probably. I mean, by the time we're ready to announce a mint price, we're probably ready to announce the mint date. But it's not like it's going to be like the price is X and the mint date is 1 week from now. I'd imagine like at least a month and a half or so, really let it simmer. Yeah, we're not trying to like cause any panic or hysteria. So I think minimum a month, if not more. There's a good chance that we announce the mint price and everything, a bunch of other details along with that. And then also the mint date, and it's like a month away. And then we're like, need an extra like week or two. But so we're going to try to make sure that when the mint price is announced and all those details and everything else that we planned around that time frame it's very set in stone. It's very comfortable, and there's lots of time for everyone to digest and plan for it, and it's all cozy.
Cozy. From the other fleet commander, is Jimmy an AM radio host? Question mark. I want him narrating my ebooks. I am a trained actor and voice actor. And I have plans for podcast stuff, Citadel related, as well as non-Citadel related. And I am working on narrating as well for ebooks. So we could talk if you have an ebook. Hit me up. From Lost, will there be an option to build your own Dao proposal if you do not want to use a given template? Question mark.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could already do that. I mean, the DAO's on chain, so you could use any number of front ends for that. If you wanted to, you could use Tally. You could do it directly through Etherscan if you encoded the call data. And then I think we're also going to do a custom proposal template where you can, on the site, do it in the same place as the proposal builder.
There you go.
From Kronos, can we incorporate the DAO in Dubai?
Yeah, man, totally. I love Dubai. I was actually planning to go there the day after mint. That was a joke.
Thank you for clarification.
I'm staying where I live. I like my family and my friends.
That's fair. Kaladin, if I could get Jimmy to narrate the Citadel books, I would. Kaladin, reach out, man. We family. We can make that happen. Just a thank you from Dominic for answering the question and for the role. Jack Garfield asks, what's the percentage of completion of the game?
Well, if you want to get super technical, the smart contracts for the game have been 100% completed for quite some time. So in that sense, 100%. In the sense of everything else, I would argue like 90%, 85, 90%. I mean, so much is done, but that final 10% of any project can be as much as the original 9%. But we've been in that final 10% for quite some time, so I think we're in the final maybe 10% of that 10% or so. It's really close. It's just we care a lot about the details. We care a lot about getting things right, and a good user experience, and just delivering something that we're proud of and that where you feel safe and comfortable to put in the hands of everybody else for the rest of time, because that's how it's going to be. It's not really like you get a do-over with that one.
From Magic D, I read you guys all work in one office/house. You don't like remote cooperation?
We have no problem with remote cooperation. Not all of the team is in the same place. Currently, the office is myself, architect, code runner, and Heimdall comes in as well sometimes since he lives in LA. Ideally, I mean, we all enjoy working together so much that we, everyone seems to kind of want to get together and keep working in the office. So there's talks of other team members moving out to join us in LA, which is super exciting. But even when we first started the project, architect and code runner lived on the other side of the country. So for 6 months or so, it was remote. Everything was fully remote. But we prefer working together in the office. It's more fun. It's not as lonely. And I think we have better, productivity and ideas, and it's more passionate that way. Like, it's just fun. I'm hanging out with my favorite people, building something that we are all excited about. And at the end of the day, sometimes we all get margaritas, and that's sick.
I guess I'm remote. I'm Canadian, so I'm not even in the same country.
Exactly. I mean, mining officers in Italy.
Marcus B asks, I won't need a supercomputer to play the game, I hope, won't I?
Yeah, unfortunately, you definitely need the latest and the most high-powered GPU to handle these pixel graphics. They're just way too strong. But for a real answer, no. You can play basically probably on anything. It's a browser game. And obviously, there'll be some settings to make it a little bit more friendly, because there will be some things that maybe the better your computer is, the more you can handle being shown on your screen, like other players' ships on the map and stuff like that. But obviously, if that's too much for your computer, you can dial it down in settings for the game to make it more potato friendly.
From Sharp. Oh, we're going to ignore this one. I'm kidding. Any room for an intern? Have always loved your vibe and would love to contribute to the revolution. I totally use this open forum as a means of you not being able to ignore me.
He also said I love Marx. He edited
I love
that.
Margs.
That's like one of the highest, nice to haves, in the job resume or whatever, or requirements. I mean, there's probably room for an intern. I mean, most of the team started out as like kind of technically an intern. I don't know if that's probably not fair to say, but like the whole project is meant to be open building, decentralized. We've kind of cared about that vision from the very beginning, which is why Flam and Heimdall and Jimmy and Physics are now, all part of the actual team, and they came from the community just like anybody else here listening. Probably going to keep happening to a certain extent. I mean, I know I have a few other people in the server who I'd like to join the team one day that I'm excited about.
I will say, usually it starts with writing some sort of Google document and submitting it to Fleet. Then you end up on the team at some point.
Yeah, I mean, just hang around, and we're here all the time. Flam, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I mean, also keep in mind we're opening this project with an on-chain DAO. The DAO's going to need help. The team really needs to stop poaching community members so the DAO can have its own quality contributors as well.
Yeah, true. If you're too good, we might headhunt you and steal you from the DAO to go work on the core team to work for the DAO.
This is not a question, but I feel it's an important contribution. Lost has contributed his support for pineapple on pizza 1000%.
I mean, I support it.
Crypto Chencho, any talks with Magic ecosystem, seeing Bitmates take the step to join them recently?
We talked about it a little bit earlier, but yeah, there's no plans at the moment to join the Magic or Treasure ecosystem. We're definitely big fans of them. They do cool stuff, and we're fans of cool stuff. But Citadel itself is probably better in our view and best as a standalone ecosystem just on Ethereum. That's our preference. Doesn't mean maybe there's not something down the line where we like work together in some capacity, but Citadel will probably always going to be on Ethereum. It's never going to be anything else.
Marcus P asks, do you accept feet pics as payment to get whitelists or to mint or anything at all?
Like Phelan said, I think Micropene can help you out help you out. So feel free to hit him up.
Oh, that's a dark, dark road. Beware. It's not a question, but Emerson, wow, can't believe Jimmy read that one out loud. Self-promotion much? You're damn right.
Yeah.
Phelan has accused me of narrating erotic literature. You might not be wrong. True. What else is the pro? Chris Stapstein, is Jimmy leaving Canada? It's not off the table. To be continued? Question mark.
Yes.
Not a question, but Magic D just, wow, cool team dynamics. Bullish. Loser Kid 83, margaritas, blended or on the rocks?
Both.
Yeah, both. It depends on the place.
Yeah, some places the blended is better, and some places the on the rocks is the move.
That's a good point. True that.
Not a question, but Mick Kringleberry has purchased a 4090 just for this game.
Perfect. You're gonna be able to handle so many ships on your screen. Maybe all 3,333 at launch. You won't be able to see anything else, but it'll be cool.
Swag Badger 2, silly question, but you'll have to own an NFT to play the game, right?
You need the ships, which are the game pieces, and the governance token to play the game. At the moment, maybe in the future, the DAO creates some rookie ship, free to play kind of starting thing that you can claim and use to traverse the Citadel ecosystem. But at the moment, on launch, you need a ship.
Another question from Mr. Kringleberry. Will the USG Ishimura be in the game?
I think it's a Dead Space reference, which is a very good game, but I don't think the DAO wants to be in any lawsuits. I don't recommend them, personally.
Marcus P, why not make it public to reach a wider public in response to whether you need to own a ship or not?
Well, I mean, why don't we just make all NFTs free?
Yeah.
The more people, the better. But, I mean, just wouldn't really work. The design of the game doesn't support that with how we're going about things. We're going for a smaller, more curated initial community of holders and DAO participants. Over time, we hope that the ecosystem grows through a decentralized nature, community development, our own contributions that support a wider plethora of people excited about on-chain gaming, people excited about crypto, people new to the whole space. And over time, with sustainable and healthy growth, then we will get more people. Rushing it all up front, trying to go for 1 billion users, until you end up at 0. I don't know if you really even crack 100 if you try to go for 1 billion.
Another one from Magic D. Related to the Magic Treasure topic, will you maintain an in-house marketplace, say for like trading game assets and whatnot?
At the moment, it'll just be normal marketplaces that, you know, you use for trading NFTs, OpenSea, the rest of them, Blur, whatever. I don't really keep up with how many there are now these days. But just at the moment for launch, that'll be the case. You know, down the road, we're super excited about exploring the idea of like in-game marketplaces that, you know, are physical locations, because there's an on-chain coordinate system. So your assets are actually somewhere in that world. So it'll be really exciting to have local marketplaces, like local trading stations, which maybe will produce some arbitrage opportunities within, you know, the Citadel world itself, and some trading and, you know, all that fun stuff. But at the launch, trading ships and everything like that, that'll just happen on your normal NFT marketplace, and ships have to be unstaked to be sold on those marketplaces. And once they're staked in the game, they're in the game. And to unstake, they have to be at the Citadel itself, which is a physical station in the game.
Question from Fingers. For any and all team members, what would your perfect ship be if you could pick at Mint?
You can go first, Jimmy. What's your perfect ship?
The Cookie Marauder. It has to be a Marauder. Be a one of one Cookie Marauder spaceship. It would look like a cookie.
I mean, one single ship. I don't know. I really like the idea of mining. That sounds fun to me. I mean, I know marauding is cool and all, but I don't know. I like the command ships a lot. I like all the ships. I don't know if I could pick one. I would like one of every single type class-wise. I want a full collection. I don't know if I could just pick just one. Maybe Heimdall and Flame have a different answer for what they would want.
Yeah, probably one of mine are probably a high-end frigate. I like that they're fast and that you know, you can be more active with them. That's kind of my jam.
True.
Well, I mean, I guess as supposed leader of the Brig and the Marauders, I am required to own at least one Marauder ship. So the coolest command Marauder, ideally interceptor in the game, would suffice, I suppose.
Yeah, solid.
Second coolest. You can't have the Cookie Marauder. Flobnox. Should I sell my PFP to sweep the ship floor?
Yes. Save your own bags. Don't have to sweep the floor. Just maybe own something that's not a monkey JPEG.
Did we have anybody else that was going to answer the ship question?
I don't think anyone else. Oh, I don't know. Architect, do you have a favorite ship that you'd want?
I think the Hyperion, the officer mining ship from the UI mockup. That's the one that I would probably go for.
There you go.
I've always liked this croissant ship.
The croissant ship. Yeah, that one's good. That is Heimdall's favorite.
This is the old school one. I don't know if it's probably been updated since then.
Yeah, I have the updated one. I'll post it in 2 seconds. You can read the next question, or if someone wants to come up on stage.
This is not a question per se, but it's got a question mark on it, so I'll throw it out there. Just maybe we could clarify. From Micropene. Micropene suggested that he thought it was 2/3 public or 60% maybe, question mark. But do we want to clarify that 2/3 public or 60% maybe, question mark?
Yeah, that's pretty much what we're looking at. 40%.
It's like, yeah, it's roughly around there. There's the updated croissant ships and their related siblings, I suppose.
The Sebastian ship.
I think what Marcus is saying in this next question is he's asking like if we could provide like something that people can play so they can get used to the game and see if they like it. It's sort of like a demo maybe.
Yeah, I think we've had like chats about like, I think more than one person has had the idea of like kind of like a trial kind of ship or something. So I mean, it's been a conversation. But that's about as far as it's gone at this point.
I think you have to be really careful with the trial type ships. Like I believe it was Bridgeworld that had like a recruit you could buy for 10 magic. And then I think, I don't remember if it was an issue where people were just using a bunch of bots and then using a bunch of different wallets and then spamming the recruit quest. So like you kind of have to be, I think, careful with something like that. I think they ended up turning the recruits off also. So.
From Siggy, any fears of attracting too many people or whales on launch? Having a lot of money come in right at the very start doesn't necessarily mean you get players. I would probably sell out if it meant I get to buy a new house. Sorry, guys.
I mean, I fully support making smart and personal, financial decisions for yourself and not letting a bag to get too big. So don't feel bad about anything like that. But I don't have any fears of attracting too many people or whales on launch. I mean, at a certain degree, you have to kind of accept that those things are a little bit out of your control. Obviously, we've done a lot of effort towards like not being super loud in marketing and just taking our time. Even when we had a bunch of people and larger figures in the space hitting us up and to this date, like asking to do stuff with the project, like we always told them like, yeah, like just don't tweet about it that often, or don't try to like hype up your community too much. Like you can talk about it, but just, keep it on a comfortable level. We're still building, like we're not ready for an onslaught of people, nor do we really want an onslaught. But in terms of like whales, like I don't think it'll be too much of a problem. I mean, new ships get released every week. Whales are probably inefficient in playing the game themselves. More ships, more time management. Whales necessarily don't exactly have time as much as they have capital. So I'm not too concerned. Ultimately, the DAO is in control and can make adjustments as needed to balance out, growth and make it more available if that's what's healthy for the game.
From thatboydead.p2e, what is one aspect of the game that you find most unique and are most excited for? I guess we get multiple people answering this if we want.
Yeah, Flam or Heimdall, you guys can go first.
I should talk about the auction, Heimdall.
That seemed like your favorite.
Yeah, I mean, the auction. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything that's been done like it. I mean, in a sense, our auction is essentially like a little mini game every week, which is pretty cool, and it's what the whole game is designed around, the economy too, and it works as a dynamic sink for the token supply, which means every week essentially a percentage of the supply is going to get burnt in the auction, which is not something that I think we've seen before in this type of framework. And it heavily helps to balance the economy.
A little bit more of philosophical, I guess, and as opposed to a specific feature or mechanic. What drew me to a project like this is the idea of an on-chain persistent world or an on-chain virtual world. I grew up playing games like Ultima Online and other kind of MMO virtual world type games because once I got a taste for that, I got a lot less interested in other types of games and single player games. The aspect of being in another virtual plane with other players just was so compelling to me. But there were some problems with that. One was governance. You basically have these gods that rule over your world with absolute power, and you have no rights. They can spy on you, they can steal from you, they can kick you out without any kind of due process. That seemed like a big problem to me. Also, these worlds can potentially go away one day. If it's not profitable anymore, the switch can get shut off, and everyone you knew in that world and all of its history and all the amazing experiences you had there are just gone forever. So this idea that we could have this on-chain decentralized world, well, one, we wrap players into the governance loop and the decision-making process, and we at least at a minimum get sort of a consent of the government, the consent of the governed level of democracy in play. And then there's this at least potential, not a guarantee, but at least a potential that this thing could go on indefinitely. To me, I think that's one of the most interesting types of futures for virtual worlds.
Yeah, I like governance.
Well, yeah.
And all the other stuff said.
Yeah, and the core aspect of the game is basically, a battle over, future governance distribution, which I think is a super sustainable model, and it's something that's not really been explored yet. So it's kind of a cool thing. It's essentially we're playing to increase our governance power, and obviously increase our size of our pixel spaceship fleet, which goes hand in hand, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, everything Flam said, I would say I share in that vision. I mean, I grew up playing EVE Online for too many tens of thousands of hours, like alongside Mining Officer. So that sort of persistent virtual world, single shard, player-driven economy and micro and macro level economics is super fascinating to me. And that combined with, community development, like mods and just like continual iteration on top of the original product itself that's like outside of what I can imagine, it just seems super exciting to me. I mean, I think it's very similar to like, Ethereum itself. Everything that's been developed on top of Ethereum was, done by the community and the people who joined the space. And in my opinion, like having a game that has the same possibilities as, what Ethereum does become, just the same attributes that allow that kind of emergent development and curiosity is just super exciting. So I'm excited for just all of that stuff. Looking forward to see what people do with everything that we've built, and looking forward to seeing what we're able to do as well and where things go.
Yeah, I mean, I would pretty much agree with everybody and echo everybody. I think we have a lot of like-minded people on the team, so I think we all kind of share a lot of similar feelings towards a lot of these things. For myself too, as a long-term gamer, one thing, like, I grew up, much like Flam, like I grew up on games like Ultima Online, and Ultima Online is my favorite game of all time. It's not the best graphics or anything compared to anything nowadays. It's not the best, at a lot of things compared to games nowadays as technology has advanced. But it gave me something that was like an unforgettable experience. It gave me a lot of first times. Like for me, that was my first time experiencing a game collaboratively, with that many people online. And it was a lot of firsts for me that just filled this kind of massive amount of excitement and wonder. And when everything is first time and new and fresh, when it's not something that you've done a million times in a million different games, because there's so much copy pasta and so many just kind of like reskinned versions of things that have already existed before, you kind of lose that newness. So for me, one thing that's really exciting about the Citadel moving forward is that, I mean, this is the first of a lot of things for me. Like myself, I've never played an on-chain game before, so this would be my first. And just the way this whole game is being constructed, it'll be my first, and it'll be my first time being a part of a team that's working on something like that. So for me, I think it's just kind of, I've spent many years kind of longing for something that could fill that deep, dark abyss of never being able to feel that first time excitement again. Having played so many games, it's hard to feel something entirely fresh and new again. So there's always this big empty void and this kind of sense of disappointment that I experience in playing a lot of games nowadays. And the excitement seems to be very short-lived more often than not, because it's just not new anymore. It's something I've already done so many times before, but this time it's just kind of renewed that childhood excitement where everything is new again and everything is exciting again. And that combined with, I think, the yet to be realized and undiscovered potential for what the community and the DAO and the team can come up with together. Like, we get to build this all together. And for me, like, that's another first, like, to be a part of building the process together. With a lot of games, you get dev teams that are kind of, their decisions are dictated by shareholders and whatnot in the mainstream gaming, and often that can feel very detached from what the community is wanting from that experience in that game. And so you're kind of just getting what they give you. Whereas this time it's going to be an experience of actually being a part of the entire process, the entire building and development process together, and things can actually be implemented into the game that the community directly wants, for their experience. And I think for me that is so incredibly exciting and something I'm definitely looking forward to the most. And hopefully some of what comes in the future includes PvP, because I'm a bit of a fiend for PvP, having grown up on Ultima Online. I can't wait to burn everybody's ships.
Same.
From Sharp, what does the team do for fun? Video games, board games, card games?
We really do like working. Working's pretty fun. I mean, it's stressful and hard, but like it's very satisfying. We're all definitely, I think, workaholics. But I mean, on the off time, we like just normally hanging out, watch a good amount of movies, because Architect has seen so few movies in his entire life. Up until like this year, he had seen only like 2. So we're fixing that problem. Obviously, just getting dinner together and having that communal familia hang with a bunch of margaritas is a solid time. Also, like, a lot of King of the Hills, kind of been like what we've been doing in the office when we want to take a break. I was also like really into solitaire for like a month or 2. I got like 500 wins on solitaire. Then I hung up the crown.
500?
I could speed run like a match of solitaire so fast.
Anybody else want to chime in on that?
No one else has fun.
Nobody else has fun. As I mentioned previously, I'm an actor, so acting is kind of a big passion for me. So if I'm not involved in gaming in some shape or form, acting for me is big. My fun is generally acting related, gaming related, or creating in some shape or form. Design, animation, visual effects, all stuff I've gone to school and trained for. So I enjoy all of that stuff, and those are all interests primarily because they're all related to gaming and film and TV. So entertainment things, those are my entertainment and people. I like, honestly, one of the most fun things I'll say, having been here now for like a year in the Citadel, just hanging out with all the friends I've made here and with the community. The social aspect of it is by far the most fun for me. This team, this community, and the friends I've made here. Yeah, you can't put value on that. It's priceless, and it's been an incredible amount of fun that I am very grateful and thankful for. I feel very blessed for all of that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think Fleet Commander said we work a lot. We're mostly working a lot, and I think we all enjoy working on the project. So it's kind of hard to put it down. It's fun for us, really. And but on my off time, I play some Diablo 2 hardcore. Read a lot of books. Definitely frequent the cantinas near my house. That's basically it. Oh, and lifting heavy things.
Ultimate challenge. Heimdall tries to not dox my first name every time. Anyways,
It's a little
next
mini
questions.
game in and of itself from the other Fleet Commander when free mint.
No free mint. Next question.
From Nevermore, maybe be able to have our own NFTs as pilots in the game, although the sneak peeks you showed are super dope.
I mean, I don't really have like any interest in that personally, just because like I don't know, I feel like it would break the overall immersion. Like I like the idea of Citadel, being its own in-game world. Like you can set your own PFP in the Discord to do whatever you want, but when you're playing Citadel and you're in Citadel itself, like I think it's fun that there's a cohesive feeling world that you're in. I don't want to see some like long neck Kanto, I don't know, weird thing as someone's PFP for their ship. Like if I'm talking to them in Discord, like that's one thing, but I think it's more fun and feels more like a game when the avatars in it are actually from the game. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, if the DAO disagrees, the DAO disagrees. You guys can change it, but that's my thoughts at the moment.
Yeah, for the most part, I'd agree. I mean, what the DAO decides, the DAO decides. For me, immersion, I kind of care about the immersion of the experience in the Citadel. Some stuff like that might throw things off for me a little bit, but we'll see how things go, I guess. From Elliot, if you had multiple ships, could you move multiple with one contract interaction, like stack up a load of actions and send the interaction as one? Is that something that could even be done in contract? Only thinking that if you had, say, 20, it might be a pain to do one at a time.
We could add batch support for that. We could add batching support for like arbitrary transactions for like whatever gameplay transactions you need, but we haven't done that yet. I think that will probably be better addressed by session keys. When you sign once to begin your session, and then you have it's almost like a burner wallet with fewer privileges to, keep you safe and let you play the game without signing getting in your way.
One more from Sharp. If I send Fleet Commander to the Shadow Realm in an all-out duel, do I get my intern spot?
Sure. Good luck, though.
Balon, the Graph 1. Where are you hosting your node/copy of the chain? 2. How are you limiting calls from the front end to the API of your graph node? 3. Are the subgraphs backward compatible, as in moving to the mainnet in the future without issues recodifying the API's code? And 4, how are your AI ops monitoring for making sure the attestation is occurring between the consumer and your graph node?
To start off, the graph node might have a bit of a confusing name. That's the name that the Graph Foundation uses for it, but really, it's two components. There's an actual Ethereum node, which is separate from the graph node, which basically handles setting up an RPC and an API for the events that happen on chain. And then there's the graph node, which basically polls periodically for new blocks, grabs those events, and runs handlers to populate stuff in a database. So the actual blockchain node, we could use something hosted like Infura. I think what we're going to end up doing is using an Aragon client in the same cluster as the graph node. Limiting calls, there's a ridiculously high rate limit per IP just to prevent botting, and then there's also an anti-bot on top of the service. You shouldn't hit any rate limits though. Backward compatibility. I think this question is basically asking if the subgraph code is going to have to change when we go from the testnet to the mainnet. The answer is no. Basically, it works by specifying how blockchain events translate into database transactions. It should be straightforward to just deploy a new API with the same code and point it at a different chain. And then monitoring, I'm not sure if this question is in reference to the blockchain node or the graph node. It's the blockchain node. It's a pretty standard Ethereum client. We trust it. And for monitoring the graph node request volume and how it's performing, we have a little dashboard for that powered by Prometheus. And I think that's it.
From Lampatappa. I haven't been present in the space for over the past few months, but just wanted to say this is one of the few projects that kept creeping back into my headspace every once in a while. Can't wait to see what the culmination of all this hard work yields. The Q&A has been great.
Thanks. Appreciate the kind words.
I echo that as well. Thank you. So Phelan's next question, the UI UX. One, is there an industry model you're mapping against relative to Flow, or is this more what you like/feel is right? And two, we've seen several iterations where things have changed. This is normal in development design, but you alluded to the backlog in the UI space shrinking. What barometer are you using to quantify when a UI UX item is complete? What acceptance criteria are you aligning to?
So I think the first question is kind of talking about, just the end of it, are we basing it off some sort of model, or is it just what we feel, what we like? It's definitely more of the second one. I've been a UI and UX designer for a few years now as like one of my fields and areas, product design. A lot of it's just kind of my intuition, what I want it to feel like, and direction that wise. I've never done any game UI design, so this is a new and fun challenge. Definitely was more on the software side of things and normal product stuff. But regardless, I would just say it's more what we feel, what we want, and our opinions, I guess, when it comes to how things should operate. Obviously, I follow standard best practices, and I break them when I feel it's best to do so. But that's the gist of that. In terms of seeing several iterations where things have changed, usually when you see changes, that is because like a model that we haven't shown yet benefited from those changes, and those changes then were retroactively applied to some of the past models. So it's more or less like I stare at an old model for a long time, and it's like, okay, this needs to change. Just like as I'm making a new one, I realize like this is a better functionality, and this it makes previous models, and I go, usually components are set up so that automatically happens for me. I just don't show all the models all the time what's being worked on, just because it takes time to align things, and not to mention there's a lot of other areas on the project that I work on at the moment, which is why if you're a UI UX designer, hit us up. We would love to bring another UI and UX designer on the team. That'd be fantastic, especially if you have game UI design experience. Huge plus. But anyways, in terms of what barometer we're using to qualify when a UI UX item is complete, it's just kind of same as above. Like when it feels complete, it's complete. We're trying not to scope creep things too much. It'll be done when we want it to, and it feels like it's done. I would say it's getting really close. Backlog is shrinking. I'm thankfully getting more time to work on that area of things as we progress in the project and knock off a lot of other sections of it that are complete. Not to mention things like improved internal organization and efficiency and productivity across the team, thanks to people like Physics and the rest of the team in general who are, taking initiative and all killing it. That gives me more time to do my stuff.
Elliot asks, on the lack of official Polygon support for the graph, is there anything we can do individually or as a DAO that could encourage further support?
My guess is that they will add support eventually. They've been talking about adding support for a few other chains. For some reason, Polygon hasn't been among them. Hopefully it will be coming soon, and hopefully as more games continue to crop up on Polygon and the ecosystem grows there, it will get on their radar a little bit more.
From Apex, is there a list of all the infrastructure you use for the game and development? So much tech talk I have no clue about. Would like to check out all of the tools to understand it better.
We will be making the repos public before launch. I would say that would probably be the most definitive way to take a look at everything that we're using. At some point we might put out a guide, but right now there's not like a a single list of all the tools.
Beautiful. Well, I think we've addressed all of the questions that we have, and there's no hands up, so I think that's a good note to call it on. For everybody who didn't have questions but had comments of like thanks and your compliments and things for the team, we have been reading those things, and we do really appreciate the feedback and your presence. And for all of you who are here just to listen in, we appreciate you as well. So thank you everybody for your participation, and to the team for answering a lot and sharing a lot of information. I myself appreciate it, and I'm sure the community hopefully had some fun and learned something as well. So thank you, everybody.
Hell yeah. Any other questions anytime ever, just ping us in chat, ask some questions. We're always here. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.